Folks. Today, I'm going to be reacting to Is Content Creator a Real Job? I know I'm personally interested to find out. If you like what you see, please hit like or subscribe.
Hey, did you just skip that ad? The one that plays before this video? Well, thanks a lot. Now we don't get the ad money. It's like you ripped the 0.8 of a cent right out of my child's mouth.
Welcome to the creator economy. A vast community of writers, artists, personalities, and pets who make money by posting original content on one of a dozen or so major social media platforms. It's one of the fastest growing industries in the world, with a recent study predicting that 50 million people worldwide will soon consider themselves creators.
But is it really a job, or more of a small business, or just a crapshoot? There are several ways to make money as a content creator, and the oldest is advertising. Most of the major platforms offer some kind of ad revenue sharing with their creators. The amounts vary depending on popularity and platform. TikTok will pay as little as 30 or 40 bucks for 1 million views, while the same number on YouTube can get you thousands.
This is still generally not enough to pay the bills, so many creators look for brand sponsorships, when advertisers pay them directly for promoting products within the content. You can also sell your own merch or even start your own product line like fashion, cosmetics, or exercise equipment. Of course, all these options only exist for creators that already have a large, dedicated fan base.
A recent trend offers creators more direct ways to monetize. Sites like Patreon, Substack, and OnlyFans allow artists, writers, and personalities to sell access to their work directly to their audience. Twitch lets you financially support your favorite streamers, and even Twitter now has a tipping option.
Wow! With all these money-making avenues, it seems like being a creator might not be such a terrible financial decision after all.
Well, we won't know until we
run the numbers.
So, they are already starting to cover some of these key topics, which I'm sure a number of folks watching this have probably thought of being a content creator at some point and thought of how much money could exist. I'm guessing what's going to happen as they progress through here is that they're going to highlight how unrealistic it is for folks to actually do this full time and make a living off of it, especially because they already highlighted some of the numbers backing it. And one of the things that I think we as people often do is that we think of the exceptional cases and start to use that as the reference for the average case. And so, for instance, we likely think about the channels that have thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even more likely millions of subscribers. And they're probably consistently getting big numbers on views and getting new subscribers and potentially getting a good chunk of money on ad revenue. And then they're also potentially diversifying their income through things, as they mentioned, through like merchandise or product lines and sponsorships. And what I think we lose sight of sometimes is the fact that these often are like the top 1% or maybe in the 1% of the 1% in most of these areas. And so most of the time, this is due to years and years of work and continued success, and that so many folks are not in that category. I know at the making of this video, I have less than 10 subscribers, and so I'm pretty new to this space myself, but there's probably many more people who are in a similar boat to me than there are of these folks who have million plus subscribers. And sometimes we can lose track, or sometimes we'll do something like, well, if this person has 1 million subscribers, it should be easy for me to get 500,000 subscribers. But usually these things are exponential. And so the halfway point to 1 million might be like 100,000 subscribers, for instance. In reality, I'd have to look into the numbers more. Maybe they'll share some of this here. But I think that's something that we generally lose track of. Same way we think of like athletes or celebrities, which is they're usually a fraction of a percent, and that's why they get such high salaries and high pay is because they are an exceptional case. They're not the average case.
2 years ago, Kyle started a YouTube channel to showcase his ukulele skills. After a lot of dedication and hard work, he now manages to put out a quality video every week and gets a respectable 80,000 views on average. That puts him squarely in the top 5% of YouTubers on Earth.
Wow. So this got even farther along, which is they just said 80,000 views a week is the top 5%. That is such a small fraction already. And again, I highlighted some of the things that we think of as like the millions of subscribers or even millions of views, maybe even millions of views per video or per week. And so already they're highlighting the fact that basically less than 100K a week for views is already the top 5%, which if you're the top 5 of most areas, like in your career or like athletics or something like that, you're already playing at such a high level that you are likely the ones who other folks are already looking up to as the folks who have made it. And this individual probably isn't that successful compared to what we likely had in mind going into this.
Nice work, Kyle.
For his success, YouTube pays him a weekly ad share revenue of $200.
Okay, not great, but...
Oh, wait, forgot to take out YouTube's cut.
Ouch. That's okay, because Kyle is finally getting some branded sponsorships, about one a month. He's also selling a bit of merch and has a dozen Patreon supporters for a grand monthly total of $2,343. Not bad for a side hustle. Wait, what's that, Kyle? This isn't your side hustle? You quit your job for this?
Most serious creators will tell you this is no part-time gig. Between the writing, shooting, editing, replying to fans, making graphics, looking for sponsors, studying analytics, designing merch, and running a Patreon, managing a successful channel can overwhelm a team of people, let alone one. When you factor in equipment costs and the 2 years he spent building his audience, Kyle is working far below minimum wage on this dream job.
Meanwhile, his job security and benefits are practically nil. He's busting his hump to create content for a giant tech company that gives him no health insurance, no retirement, and at any time could make changes to their algorithm or revenue plan that totally disrupts his business strategy.
Kyle's predicament is sadly common for successful content creators. Sure, the handful of top channels can pull in millions, but earnings drop steeply as you go down the ladder. One study estimated that you can be in the top 3% of YouTubers and make less than 1/3 the median US income.
Yeah, so I'm going to pause there just because that's such a stark difference from, I think, what most people expect is that even here, if you're in the top 3%, you're making a fraction of the median income. And so even for this one, they're highlighting basically like less than 17,000 a year. This would definitely put you below the poverty line in America. And you would almost certainly be better off in 97% of the cases of working a minimum wage job compared to doing content creation as they're highlighting here. So that's a much larger percentage than what I was expecting. But as they highlighted, it isn't surprising that a lot of folks don't break even or make noticeable amount of money, again, because there's so much content that exists out in the space. You are only getting a fraction of the total revenue on ads, etc., that you are participating in and you're helping promote. And then there's a lot of time of upfront costs that you don't get paid basically anything. Like, as they highlighted, the initial equipment. There's also potentially months or years of time where you're building a channel where you're not getting any income at all. And so you're far below minimum wage, potentially for years, as you set up a channel. And I wouldn't be surprised if this also leads to a lot of folks kind of quitting during this time frame and never being able to achieve some of these higher incomes. Even top 3% of less than 17,000 a year is definitely a pretty steep curve. So we'll see what else they have to share.
In order to make the US median income on Twitch, you have to be in the top 0.015% of active streamers for the median income.
And those who are already wealthy and famous enjoy a massive head start. Having a glamorous life as a backdrop gives you a big edge in the battle for eyeballs. And who else would have the time to spend years building an audience for no pay? If you look at the highest earning Instagram accounts, you'll notice that they all got famous via traditional media. I wouldn't exactly call them successes of the creator economy.
Even for those who manage to eke out a living, burnout is a constant hazard. Unlike a musician or filmmaker that can release a new album or film every few years, creators must be constantly posting new content just to not fall behind. Audiences and algorithms punish time off severely. And with all the harassment, toxicity, and judgment on social media, the spotlight can take an emotional toll on even the most successful online celebrities.
And yet, millions of people still aspire to be a creator. 29% of Gen Zers said they wanted to be a YouTube star. If it's your dream, probably nothing we've said has changed your mind. Why? Because there's also a non-financial benefit that creators are pursuing.
Call it fame, attention, or clout, humans have always had a keen awareness of where they rank in the social hierarchy, and social media has turbocharged that need. As we live more and more of our lives online, our perception of self-worth has become linked to likes and follows. A handful of tech companies are now the arbiters of how status is allocated, and the more we battle for it, the more money they make.
There's a lot of talk about how fast the creator economy is growing, but if you look at where the investment dollars are going, it's not to the creators themselves, but to companies that sell tools and services to creators. Pietra helps influencers launch product lines. Pearpop monetizes your social media interactions. And Nunu lets you charge your fans to vote on what you have for breakfast. In this way, the creator economy is less like an artist's marketplace and more like a gold rush. A very small few will strike it rich. The majority crawl home empty-handed, but the smart money is on the people who sell the picks and shovels.
There are a lot of companies out there that want to make being a creator seem easier and more profitable than it really is, because they make money off the dreamers.
Julia and I have done pretty well as creators, but we're part of a big team that makes this show a success, and almost all of us have other jobs. And we have the financial and marketing support of a large organization behind us.
I promise, we're not here to crush your dreams. Being a successful artist or entertainer requires talent, hard work, and a realistic assessment of the financial landscape.
So, if you are one of the 50 million creators across the globe, by all means, follow your dreams.
Yeah, on this topic, agreed. I think this is certainly a challenging space to enter into, and I think it can be rewarding for folks. But you should definitely have a plan A, in my opinion. Definitely, content creation should not be your plan A. It should be your plan B or plan C, maybe. And as they highlighted, many folks have day jobs that help actually support them and enable them to do these things and have some level of success. And I would encourage folks to do that as well. I think sometimes we can aspire to reach some of these levels, but again, in any other space, if you're seeking to be the top 1% or a fraction of 1%, there's usually a lot of hard work, effort, and maybe even luck that is involved in achieving that level of status or level of accomplishment. And that can take many years of time to invest in yourself and whatever your business is or whatever your project is. But you should be ensuring that you are able to make that progress consistently over time and see if it's something that's worth investing in. I would definitely not encourage anyone to quit their job to become a content creator. That likely is not going to end well for a number of folks. I think that there is some reward in it, and I think of other folks that I have interacted with and I know that do things like make music on the side, and they have full-time jobs and they are using that to help support themselves in their endeavors to create music and create art and things along those lines. And I think that's a reasonable way of doing it instead of being like a starving artist, so to speak. I think that can not only jeopardize your present, but also your future. And so I do think it's prudent to be mindful of how much money and time you're investing in things that don't earn you income today, especially if you are in a scenario where you are not quite making ends meet. I've seen in a lot of cases, if your primary purpose of doing something like this is to earn income, then you likely could earn more income focusing in on your current job or career. For instance, like focusing in on a promotion or seeing if there's another role that you could take someplace within your own company or a different company. These could all be opportunities for you to make more money. And generally, from what I've observed, most people make the most money from focusing in on things that they're already finding success in and trying to do that even better. And so that would be my recommendation if you're just looking for pure monetary gain from something like this, is to focus on what your current pursuits are, what you currently are making money off of from your day job, etc. And that will likely get you a lot more income in the long term. Or if it's something that you're doing because you want to shift in like your lifestyle, you could also look into potentially doing a career shift or maybe promoting yourself like diagonally into a different role. So for instance, like management could be a shift for you if you're an individual contributor of some sort. Maybe you can also look into trying to switch teams or switch functions at your current company if you're not enjoying it. Or you could also try doing what you do now, but at a different company, and maybe that culture will be different. So there are many options that you can pursue for a variety of purposes, if it's to just make your quality of life improved or your income better. This is definitely an interesting area to be in, and obviously I'm making content right now. And I think that it is something that I plan to continue to pursue, but not out of an expectation of achieving this top 1% or a fraction of a percent. And that's okay with me. And I think that is something that other folks, if this still entices them, I think go for it, as they're highlighting here. Just make sure that you're entering into the space with realistic expectations.
Just make sure they're your dreams and not ones that have been sold to you by someone else. And that's our 2 cents.
Thanks to our patrons for keeping 2 Cents financially healthy. Click the link in the description to become a 2 Cents patron.
If you've dipped your toe in the creator economy, let us know how it's going in the comments below.
Thank you for watching. I will see you around.